war be fought, many will die, and the victor will eventually ascend the throne.
In this video, I'll discuss all the teeny tiny details you might have missed in the trailer, like Aegon's new tunic, the changes in Daemon's helm, Rhaenyra's necklace, Alicent and Larys looking through the books, our first look at Ser Hugh Hammer, why Aemond and Rhaenyra are using reins for their dragons now, etc., along with a lot more details. So stay tuned for that. Greetings Throne Watchers. I won't discuss the things I've already mentioned in my quick review video unless I have something to add to it. I'll only discuss the new details I've found in each frame. There might be some minor spoilers here, but only minor, nothing big, so be prepared for it. Also, starting from this video, I'll give common shoutouts at the end of my videos. So, let's begin. In the first frame, we see Rhaenyra looking towards the sea. I think the tower you see in front of her is Storm's End. Rhaenyra going near Storm's End could only mean one thing. She is probably searching for Luke's body after she got the news about what happened to him. In the next frame, Aegon is walking towards the Iron Throne while Proto is standing next to the throne. Did you notice the Kingsguard behind Aegon and his 3 followers? There are only 4 Kingsguard here. That's because there are only 7 knights in the Kingsguard, and if you remember the season 1 finale, the other 3 Kingsguards joined Rhaenyra's side. So the Greens have 4 and the Blacks have 3 Kingsguards. Since Sir Harold Westerling resigned during the Green Council meeting in season 1, it means they have already found a replacement for him. In the next frame, you can see Aegon walking towards the Iron Throne. Aegon is carrying Viserys's dagger now. On his tunic, you can see 2 golden dragons. It seems like sunfire to me, but why do you think there are 2 of them? Is it just for design, or could it have a deeper meaning to it? What do you think? Also, there are 3 men walking behind Aegon. Only 2 are visible in this frame, but you can see all 3 of them from behind. It's hard to tell who they are, but if I had to guess, I would say they are his buddies from his drinking days when he used to watch the children fight in the pits. They look more like Lannisters and Baratheons by their looks, but I'm not sure who they are. Who do you think they are? For a second there, I thought, what is Ron Weasley doing with Aegon? Another thing to notice is that the guards surrounding the throne room are all Hightower guards. It feels like Otto doesn't trust any other house at this moment. You can also see the 4 Kingsguards behind Aegon's group. Then we see Daemon's helm in the next frame. It seems a lot more broken and used than we first saw it in season 1. You can see the plume of red and black feathers, the dragon wings, and the red rubies from the eyes are all gone now. In a later shot, we see Daemon in what seems to be a new armor. So I'm not sure if his helm is new as well or if it's just the old one. I think it's the old helm with the rubies and wings missing. I wonder if he lost them in the battle for Stepstones or if there have been more battles recently and he lost it there. What do you think? Then we see an angry Daemon picking up his helm and probably going for battle. He is carrying his sword, Dark Sister, and his whip, which has a very unique handle. I've already discussed these items in my season 1 A New Reign trailer breakdown video and on our podcast. In the background, you can see a map on the table with a candle next to it. There are fruits, meat, etc. on another table near the windows. And speaking of windows, I tried to guess which castle it is based on the windows. I looked through the entire season 1 and didn't find any place with similar windows. Driftmark's windows are more in square shape, King's Landing's windows are way too stylish, and Dragonstone's windows are too crude. That's why I think this could be a new castle that we might see for the first time in season 2. Which castle do you think it is? Then we see the Black's army camp with lots of black tent. When I zoomed in on this frame, I found lots of interesting tiny details. You can see a hexagonal shaped barricade in the extreme right corner. I think it might be for keeping keeping animals to keep the army fed. There's a cart next to this barricade, maybe for carrying these animals. Then you can see a spit for roasting pigs or other animals that are probably being held in that barricade. There's a well next to the spit as well. I wonder why it's kept so close to the spit. Also, there are tables near every few tents for soldiers to eat. And you can see 2 riders to the left and 2 riders to the right side of the camp. There are other soldiers in black and red spread out through the camp as well. There's also a waist-length black stone wall near the soldier holding Rhaenyra's banner. The black stones are usually found in Dragonstone, so this place could be Dragonstone. It seems like Rhaenyra will also call the banners and will start preparing for war. I've already discussed Rhaenyra's new sigil in my House of the Dragon Season 2 No Spoilers video. I know these aren't too important details, but I still loved the attention to detail here, so I wanted to point it out to you as well. Then we see the Green's army marching through the road carrying House Hightowers banners. The reason I thought the soldiers who opened the door to the throne room for Aegon were Hightower soldiers was because they were wearing the same tunic as these guys. You can see the silver dots on the dark green clothes along with their armor. I've already discussed the Rosby and Stokeworth banners in my quick review video. I wanted to add another thing that I noticed in this frame. If you look closely at their shields, all of these shields have blood on them. Knights usually clean their shield and swords often, especially before a battle. So these bloodstains are obviously from their current battle. But in this frame, all of them have stopped fighting and are staring at something, which means something big will happen that will stop them in the middle of a battle. They are not looking up, so it can't be a dragon. What do you think could have happened that stopped them in the middle of a battle like this? The next frame is the one where Alicent says, "Many will die." She is sitting opposite someone who is holding a walking stick, so it has to be Larys. On the table in the center, there is an open book between them. When I tried to zoom in on the book, it got too blurry to read. I could only see a blue line at the bottom of the page. So it's hard to tell what the book is about, but when I zoomed in, I noticed another thing. It seems like there's another open book beneath the first one. The meaning of this scene changes based on which one it is. If it's just one open book on the table, it would mean Larys is showing Alicent something in a book. But if there's another book open beneath it, it would imply they are searching for some information and have gone through several books to look for it. But I can't be 100% sure if it's a second book or just the table beneath the open book. Which one do you think it is? The chair Alicent is sitting on has flowers in its design, which makes me think they are in Alicent's room. There are also books and small chests on the shelf behind Alicent. Next to Larys, there's also a vase full of daggers. If this is truly Alicent's room, what do you think the daggers are doing there? Is it possible that Alicent is afraid of something and is keeping the daggers close to protect herself? In the next frame, we see 3 boats anchored on the beach of some place. We can see several men unloading the boats and carrying its cargo to the shore. There's an upside down boat behind them, and farther away, you can see another boat with its cargo lying around. The sail of that boat seems black, so maybe it's the Targaryen banner. Also, the surrounding green landscape seems similar to the area surrounding the Black Army camp. So maybe the Black Army has really gathered on Dragonstone? What do you think? Then we see Sir Criston Cole wearing the hand's chain. This chain is exactly how the hand's chain is described in the books. I'm so glad they finally had it made. But I wonder how it will be explained on the show. Will Aegon II gift a new chain to Sir Criston Cole? If yes, then what will happen to Plotto's old chain? Cole is wearing a new chainmail beneath his armor. That chainmail is shaped like a dragon's scales. In my quick review video, I discussed how Sunfire's tail looks scaly and pointed. So maybe this chainmail is designed after him? Or maybe not. As for his armor, there are some changes here as well. If you'll compare it with his armor from season 1, this one looks rusty and dirty and has bloodstains on it. The bloodstains footprints are either from the battle or from the beheading he does in this scene. Then we see someone spinning the ball at the small council table. In my previous video, I said it was Aegon, but upon a closer look, I'm not so sure that it's Aegon. As I've discussed earlier, Aegon's tunic now has twin golden dragons on it, but this person doesn't have that on his tunic. You can also see a golden chain around this person's neck. Do you think it's Plotto? Then we see a shot of Aegon sitting on the Iron Throne. He looks really mad. He has a wound on his forehead and has the twin golden dragons on his tunic that I just mentioned earlier. How do you think he has gotten this wound? Will he get into a fight with someone? In this frame, Rhaenyra's pendant looks like an arrowhead with 3 drops of blood falling from the tip. Do you think this has some hidden meaning? Like, is she planning to get revenge on or kill 3 green members or something? If that's the case, it has to be Aemond, Aegon and Alicent. I can't think any other greens she might want to kill. What do you think? Then we see the new dragon flying over the sea. In my quick review video, I said it was probably Sunfire because we haven't seen this dragon in season 1. This dragon has a scaly and pointy tail. I brightened up the color of this frame a little bit and zoomed in on it to double check, and it does seem like this dragon's wings are red and golden, so it could be Sunfire, but the surrounding seems similar to the area where the Black's army was camped. And we know Daemon talked about getting new riders for the riderless dragons in the season 1 finale, so it could also be a new Team Black dragon like Vermithor or Sheep Stealer. It might as well be Cannibal, who knows. I discussed all the 16 dragons that were mentioned by Daemon in my 16 dragons mentioned in House of the Dragon season 1 finale video. Which dragon do you think it is? Then we see House Rosby, Darklyn and probably Stokeworth armies from the Blacks. They are carrying a palisade to protect the soldiers from the Green's arrows. There's also a ladder next to a tree, probably to let the archers climb the trees. You can also see wooden spears, or maybe it's palisade, dug into the ground as well, probably to prevent the Green's cavalry from charging in. The next frame I wanna discuss is of Aemond walking towards the Iron Throne. In this frame, there are some wooden structures next to the columns. I've already discussed the carvings on these columns, which tells the story of Aegon's conquest in my connecting trailer 1 with trailer 2 video and on our podcast. I'll post the link to it in the cards and at the end of this video. So these wooden structures could be for cleaning, but I'm not so sure. I discussed a similar frame in season 1's trailer breakdown video where they were using ladders to clean these columns. So if it's not for cleaning, they could either be using it for repairing or for changing the banners or something. What do you think these wooden structures are doing here in the throne room? Then in the next frame, we see Aegon's new sigil clearly in the banners hanging on either side of the Iron Throne. I've already discussed his new sigil, that is, the golden dragon on a field of green in my House of the Dragon season 2 no spoilers video. In this frame, we see a woman standing in front of a lake and staring towards a castle in the distance. When it comes to a castle near a lake, the first thing that comes to mind is Harrenhal. So I still think this is Alice Rivers staring towards Harrenhal. It seems like it has recently rained, as there are still a few raindrops on the tree next to her. Between the castle and this tree, can you see a wooden house and a few small huts in front of that house? Why do you think these huts are there? In the next frame, we see Alicent looking somewhere. In my previous video, I thought it was Alice Rivers. Then I took a closer look for this video and I realized this is Alicent. But I can't see her leaving King's Landing, so I don't think the woman in the previous frame was Alicent. What do you think? In the next frame, we see Rhaenyra staring towards someone on a beach. She is wearing a new belt in which you can see 2 dragons shooting fire at each other and their flames are meeting in the middle. On her shoulders, it seems like there is a dragon that has a sharp face, kind of like a swordfish. I can't think of anything else. What do you think it is on her shoulders? Also, in my quick review video, I thought there was a scar on her cheek, but I was wrong. Upon a closer look, it just looks like her hair. In the next frame, we see her facing a dragon and its rider. I think this dragon is Sea Smoke and he is with his new rider. The reason Rhaenyra seems so emotional is probably because she realizes what Sea Smoke taking a new rider means. If you still can't figure out what it means, you can check out my Why Targaryens Intermarry video. In the next frame, we see some people marching through the streets of King's Landing. Someone is beating a drum. Can you see the two wheels in the back? One is a larger wheel and the other is a smaller wheel. The larger wheel seems connected to a carriage and there seems to be two people sitting on that carriage. I have an idea on which scene it is. You can check out my full spoiler video to find out more. Moving on, I already discussed the Rosby shields in this frame in my previous video. I also noticed a House Stokeworth shield in this scene, which I had missed earlier. Then we see a clip of Princess Baela on her dragon, shrieking in grief. In my previous video, I made a mistake and called her Rhaena. I think this scene will be in episode 1 and Baela is grieving for Luke. I think she is going to join Rhaenyra in her search for Luke. Then we see the riots scene in King's Landing. In the background, you can see the huge sept. So I guess the riots will take place somewhere close to the sept. Then in the next clip, you can see the small folks trying to run away with bags of something, probably food. There is even a silent sister in the crowd. In the center, can you see a guy who has silver hair and looks like the Witcher running away with a bag? I think this guy is Ser Hugh Hammer. As for what he is doing in King's Landing, you can check out my full spoiler video for that. In the next clip, you can see one of the small folks attacking Alicent while the others are watching from the back. The Kingsguard are trying to protect Alicent from him. There is dirt on Alicent's face, which indicates some people might have thrown something at her face. Her 7-pointed star necklace, which she was wearing in the promotional pictures, is gone as well. I think the Kingsguard pulling her arm is Luffy's grandpa, Garp. I love Garp in One Piece. In the next frame, we see a young soldier in a yellow tunic pointing a sword at someone. You can see a red stallion on his tunic, so he has to be from House Bracken. We saw House Bracken in season 1 when the young Willem Blackwood killed Gerald Bracken. The Blackwoods are the enemies of the Brackens. In the next frame, we see a knight falling off a horse. I think this knight is Sir Criston Cole. The engraving on the back of his horse's armor is the same as Sir Criston Cole's horse's armor, which you can see when he was running through the woods. You might have noticed that both Aemond and Rhaenyra are using reins to control their dragons when they didn't need to use these reins in season 1. You must be wondering why they are suddenly using these reins now. Let me explain why. I think whenever they are going to a battle, they need these reins to control their dragons and to push them to fight and even kill other dragons. It's probably harder to control their dragons during a fight, as we saw with Vhagar and Aemond in season 1. But Vhagar has been Princess Visenya's dragon during Aegon's conquest, and she had some battle experience. As I've discussed in my Why Targaryens Intermarry video, these dragons are magically bonded with their riders and can sense and feel what their riders are feeling. So these dragons react according to their riders' feelings. That's why Vhagar responded to the rage within Aemond, and despite Aemond constantly telling her to stop, she attacked and killed Luke. These reins and these whips might help to stop their dragons before they go too out of control in a fight to the death. Of course, this rule probably won't apply to Daemon and Caraxes, as they both love a good fight and they are badass. He also didn't use any reins in season 1, but then they were fighting the Triarchy, not the other dragons. So Caraxes might need reins as well. What do you think? In the last frame, when Vhagar arrives, everyone stops fighting to stare at Vhagar. Could it have been the reason why the black soldiers stopped in that previous clip? What do you think? Anyways, it's time for the comment shout out now. This week's comment shout out goes to Jason Ross 5358, who said, "I think your description is spot on." Thank you so much, Jason. Comments like these keeps me going whenever whenever I'm down and I'm close to giving up. So thank you so much for that and keep supporting my channel. As you already know, if you've seen my community post, you know I'm traveling these days, so I won't be able to post any more videos until I return home at the end of January. If you like this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel. So I'll see you in January. Happy holidays, 7 blessings to you.